Hello and welcome to the Video Gamer UK podcast. My name is Matt Lees and I'm joined by Matt Ellis.
Hello.
Steve Burns.
Hello.
And Tom Ori.
Hello.
How are you doing, chaps?
Not too bad.
All good. It's pretty chilly in the podcast room today.
It's very cold. Where's David? David's AWOL. I don't even know where he is.
Secret mission.
He's on the top secret mission
To
to see stuff.
Secret stuff.
I miss Dave already.
So we missed Dave. We haven't got Dave at his news cannon, but that means in today's episode we are going to try and do our best to answer more questions than usual because we have been a bit terse with that in the past. So actually, if you're not doing already, then obviously you can sign up to the VideoGamer.com forums. We have some cool stuff going on there in terms of...
They're a bunch of nice guys and gals.
And also we have competitions once a month where you can win games and stuff. Have we got a new podcast competition actually this week?
Yeah.
Oh no.
God, I was thinking about it and then...
Okay, that's fine.
I didn't have a...
I've got something on the back of my head, so we'll talk about that at the end. That's fine. Oof. Nice. Saved by the bell. End. Right, let's kick it off. What have you been playing this week, Matt?
I finished off Tomb Raider over the weekend.
Oh, you lucky dog. I really want to play some more of that.
I really like it.
So far, it seems to be just a game about a woman having a really bad time.
She has an awful time in that game. Like, she gets beaten up so much.
It is like, oh,
like,
God.
people talk about, having sort of tough characters and role models. Like, she gets the shit kicked out of her, literally. Like, even when you jump off, like, a small sort of ledge, and she'll just, like, fall flat in her face. It's brutal. It's absolutely brutal.
Yeah, I've got to the bit where this is not a spoiler.
Yeah.
I've got to the bit where she falls down a hill.
Yeah,
and
she does that
really
a lot.
roughed up, and it's like, oh god,
that happens a lot. She falls down a lot of sort of hills and sort of slidey slopes. And there's this one bit, I think they showed off in a trailer, like pre-release, where she's like parachuting through like trees and stuff. So like that bit's actually super awesome in the game. There's tons of like proper wow moments. And I was talking to Dave about this the other day, and he was still sort of on the sort of lid about Tomb Raider, because he felt it was
on the lid.
I don't know. I was trying to think. He's on the lid.
Still flipping lids.
Like not quite inside.
I think you mean on the
edge.
On the edge? On the fence?
On the fence. That's the one. Yeah. Fence, not lid.
On the lid.
He's on the lid of Tomb Raider.
On the lid, yo. That sounds like someone saying, like, keep it on the lid.
Keep it on the lid, yeah. Keep it on the down lid.
Yeah, it's like a reversed version of the down low, which means keep it on the LD, which means go and tell everyone about it.
Yeah,
probably.
Exactly.
Anyway.
So there are a lot of moments. I think it kind of splits up quite nicely between holding forward and then quick time events, pressing X to do stuff. I think it's probably like a third of that, and then a third of it is like actual sort of fighting dudes.
Yeah,
and
I must say, like, it is winning me over. I haven't had a chance to play it much in the past week, but even though it's full of stuff that I really hate, like, I really hate the bits where you hold down forward and quick time events, some of the stuff, I really despise it. Yeah. But despite that, it's got something that's pretty charming. The one problem I have with it is it's like there is a bit of an incongruence between the kind of like
words.
It's like I'm back at uni. Between the nature of the tone of the game and the story and what's trying to be like, oh yeah, you're surviving. I just poured hot coffee all over my knob.
All right.
That's fine, we'll carry on. And the way you actually play the game, God, this is distracting. But yeah, it's just the way, if you're really good at it, then you're running around with a gun just blasting everyone to pieces.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be like, oh, I'm just this girl trying to survive.
Yeah.
And it's all like, Lara, you can do this. Remember when we climbed Snowdon? And she's like freaking out about climbing a metal tower. And I'm like, I could climb that metal tower. I'll tell you what I couldn't do. Pick up a pistol and mercilessly kill 10 men in 10 seconds.
It does kind of flip very quickly. Because like the first time she actually kills someone, they make a really big deal of it. And she's like really sort of traumatized by it. And I was like, wow, okay. Like games rarely do that now. It's usually, oh, here's your weapon. And then you just start killing dudes. But the first time she actually kills someone, she's like, holy fuck, what have I done? I've killed someone. This is absolutely messed up. And then it becomes video game, and then you just like
they do some good stuff with smoke and mirrors though, like the kind of visual feedback when you're getting shot and when you're getting hit. It gives you a sense of being really kind of like fragile. And actually you kind of realize after a while it's kind of a trick, and it's more to do with the way it's like visual feedback. Yeah, I've forgotten the word for it, but
visual feedback.
No, it's
on the lid. Else. It's right on the lid.
There's another word for it, which is like a combination of like visuals and sound and all things. It's haptic, maybe. I don't know.
Haptic is like on your phone, isn't it?
That's a feature on phones. Yeah.
we're good with words.
So I think spilling a hot beverage on myself has frazzled my brain. Obviously, I know where my brain is. But yeah, it's good though.
It's really clever in the fact that you never feel like you're having a break from anything. There's like no loading screens. The only loading screen you'll see is when you're from the main menu into the game. After that, it's either cutscenes or you're just playing the game.
Yeah.
And it's really clever when it loads. I never noticed it until about halfway through, but say you're going through like a really sort of tight space, and then it'll kind of, the camera will zoom in, and then usually I know when it's loading because she'll be going through like a small little tunnel, and she'll light her torch, and she'll do that automatically. And usually when that happens, that's when it's loading. And it took me ages to realize that it was doing that.
Yeah.
And then by the time I was about to finish the game, I was like, I've not seen a loading screen. I've not seen a loading screen at all during this game. And that is awesome.
It forces you to walk, yeah.
Yeah, it just forces you to walk. And you're just holding forward, and she'll light a torch, and you're still in control. Like, you walk forward, and then you can stop.
Stuff like that is clever, because I remember in Mass Effect 3 when they kind of they finally started to get elevators. And they're like, no, Mass Effect was elevators, and everyone went, guys, what the hell? You can't have, like, this is space. Like, elevators don't take longer than real life.
I appreciate what you're trying to do, make a seamless world, but I've been in this elevator for like 2 minutes now.
It made me smile, and I don't know, I maybe wouldn't have noticed it if not for Mass Effect's infamous nature with that sort of thing, but I loved it in Mass Effect 3 where it's like, oh, hang on a second, Shepard, we're just going to scan you, or like, oh, we're just doing a security check or something, and it's like, you're loading the game, it's fine.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to do that.
Yeah, but with Tomb Raider, like, that didn't become apparent to me because I just wasn't thinking about it, but it didn't become apparent to me that those bits were actually loading.
I hadn't thought that at all.
There's some really nice puzzles as well. Like, I'm not going to give any of them away, but
really, because I've had somebody on Twitter, I kind of like this more than anything. I don't know how true it is, but they said that all the optional tombs and the puzzles are like rubbish episodes of the Crystal Maze.
Oh yeah, it's pure that. It's just like, it's physics puzzles, or it's just platforming puzzles really. And literally when you get to the end, basically you're going find a chest at the end, and you can kind of see where the chest is, and then it's this crystal maze essentially. And then when you actually get to the chest and open it up, it actually literally just pops up text saying "Tomb Raided."
Yeah,
it's like, quite like, all right, yeah, nice video games.
Do you unlock a mansion or not?
No, there's no mansion.
Did you, when you finished it, was it like, that's a sequel happening?
It doesn't directly allude to a sequel, like in terms of what's gonna happen next, that kind of thing. But
what happened?
But there's definitely gonna be a sequel.
Would you buy
based on the ending.
DLC?
Would I buy DLC?
If it was more tombs.
If it was, see, the tombs were fun. I never went out of my way to find a secret tomb, but I probably wouldn't. If the DLC was just, hey, here's 5 more secret tombs, probably not. Like, there's tons of collectibles and whatnot in that game, and I'm not a completionist. Like, I don't
stuff.
I don't
when it's
spend
like,
all my time.
When it's like, keep going, and the story is like constantly giving you this sense of like push forward, and then it's also like, hey, you remember that little woodland area at the start of the game?
Yeah.
Do you want to like just go back there and
well, that's it, because
treasures?
Like, you got a quick travel option from the campfires, and it's like, why do I want to go back?
Yeah, it feels really like doesn't fit with the game. It's like,
if it was like, if there was a sense of exploration, then I might, but it's not really, because levels are fairly confined.
Are you a completionist?
Yeah, it's exactly.
And exactly I find the XP upgrades I haven't seen much of it, but the weapon upgrade system and the XP upgrade, it all looks pretty bland to me.
It's pretty bog standard stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, you do get pretty powerful. Like, I upgraded my bow first. The bow is like, I was trying to play like a silent killer. There's one level where you feel like the Predator, and this guy is walking around with flashlights, and you need to kind of get past them. And there's like loads of sort of, you can sort of, it's got a good verticality to it. Like, you can climb up a cliff and then like swing down and bypass a load of dudes.
Yeah.
And if you got your bow, like, the bow's silent, and you can actually get an upgrade to your assault rifle, which like has a silencer, and your pistol has a silencer as well. So if you want to play like proper stealth silence, then you can do that.
Cool.
Or you can just go in with a shotgun, guns blazing, which is also fun as well. I kind of did a combination of both because the bow was not very good close up, but you get some nice upgrades where you can then start dodging attacks, and then if you time it right, it's like very quick time event. If you time it right, then you can like just land a killing blow straight away.
Oh, that's nice.
Dudes, which is it feels pretty good when that all works, but a lot of the time the AI is pretty dumb, to be honest. There's a few times when you literally swarm of dudes coming to you, and they'll literally kind of just edge their way through like a narrow corridor, and I'm just there with my bow. It's like thung, dead, thung, dead.
Video games.
Dead. Yeah, so that kind of broke it a bit.
Everything I've played and heard about Tomb Raider makes it sound like it would be a better game if you didn't kill loads of dudes in it. If it was just exploration.
I don't know, the combat is really fun, to be fair.
But if it annoys me, like, I mean, I'm enjoying it so far, and I'm not that far in. But yeah, to hear the constant PR message of Lara, she's very vulnerable, and like you say, that QTE where you shoot the guy in the eye, it's like, oh man, that guy's and he's kind of like still alive for a little bit. And then about 6 seconds after, I was like, pow, pow, pow. Pew, 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 pew. Less QQ, more pew, pew, motherfuckers. That's what I was up to. And I was like, that's rubbish. I'd rather you just explored.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like Uncharted.
Yeah.
Uncharted's like, oh, Drake, such a nice guy. He's so cool and charming. You fucking snapped the necks of literally the entire population of Africa.
Yeah.
Like, you be in The Hague.
Yeah. It turns out you have murdered hundreds and hundreds of people.
I'd love it if in the next Uncharted game there's a sort of like part of the plot is that they realise he's actually like missing like a bit of like his middle hemisphere in his brain, so the connection between his emotional and his thing is like not quite right. So
he doesn't know.
So it is actually part of his character. Yeah. He is like actually a really nice guy, but then that part of his brain that should make him feel really guilty and change him as a person for murdering just isn't there.
It doesn't work.
That'd be nice. Bit of realism.
Yeah.
So talking of kind of snapping necks without any kind of mercy, you've been playing a lot of God of War, right?
Yeah. Well, last week I'd played up to about an hour, and there was it was clearly impressive. The opening was very good, and then all the reviews came out and stuff, and it was like 7s, 8s, and a little bit disappointing, I guess, for a God of War game. And at the moment, I think I'm going a little bit like towards the 8-ish. Like I'm liking it a lot.
Right.
I think there's clear flaws that hold it back, and part of that is that it's following 3, which was so kind of over the top and dramatic and set pieces all over the place and really cool boss fights. And the boss fights in this, there aren't that many of them, and a few of them are a bit duff, basically.
Right.
And it hasn't really it looks amazing, and it does really well in terms of like showing you amazing scenes, and and the environment's really impressive, and some of the puzzles that use that look really great. There's this thing you get, I'm not sure how far through, but you can basically go back or forward in time with certain things. I think they showed it at the E3 demo a while back, where you can basically fix broken things, and that you end up using it on massive, great big structures, and it all kind of builds up around you, and it looks really cool. So the puzzles are quite good, like you were saying in Tomb Raider. Some of the puzzles in this are pretty good as well. That's always been a God of War thing, that you kind of kill a load of dudes and then you're just in a room doing nothing but a puzzle for a while.
Yeah,
and that's all great, but the combat, they changed the parry system quite a lot, I think, since the last game, and it kind of feels broken. And that is something that, like, for these kind of games, like a good like block parry counter system is important.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't feel right, and I don't really use it because of that, and it kind of makes the combat feel a little bit basic, because you're basically just square, triangle, dodge.
Why do you reckon they changed it? Is it a case of they tried to retool it, or is it just a case of they tried to make it a bit easier?
I don't know, but it just doesn't work, and I'm not sure if it's just me. I mean, loads of people are going, you're just rubbish. But
it's always the risk.
Like, I've finished all of the God of War games before this one, and it just doesn't feel right. And I don't know why that is, because it should just be a fairly simple mechanic of time it right and you'll block and then counter this guy. And it just doesn't work. I don't like it, and I don't know why that is, but it just feels wrong, and that brings the whole combat down for me slightly. I mean, when the rest of it's all great still. They've got some really cool moments, and I think from what I've gathered, it builds up to something amazing at the end, which I haven't got to yet, but people are going on about the end being incredible. And it looks great, like really, really good, like beyond anything I've seen on this generation anyway. And
sure,
what they've done with the PS3 is quite really incredible, but it just doesn't feel as like all together as the last one did, or like 2 does, for example. But it's still a good game. I think if you really like God of War, if you're getting bored already, this isn't going to do anything to kind of make you think, oh wow, they've really done a load to change this.
I'm intrigued because I'm a really big fan of action games, but I've not really ever played many of the God of War games. I played the first one and maybe the second one a little bit, but kind of a few years after they came out, to be honest. I kind of missed the boat with it just because I wasn't... I don't know why, actually, because I've always been a massive fan of that genre. I just kind of missed the boat with it. But I'm going to check a bit of Ascension out actually after this.
I think if you haven't played, particularly if you haven't played 3, this I'd think you'd really like, because you wouldn't have 3 to compare it to.
That's not necessarily a good thing, though, is it?
But there are bits you think, wow, this is really impressive, but you get more of the impressive, like the wow moments aren't so much the like combat and the fights. It's more like you walk into an area and there's all this stuff everywhere, and you look at the scenery and everything, and it looks so impressive. And then using some of the puzzle mechanics to make it all move around you and everything, and it looks really... I mean, I'm saying it looks great a lot, but that's because it's pretty much its biggest selling thing. Yeah. It looks amazing. And
that's a funny one though, actually, because I mean, visuals at the time like can add something actually. And when I was the game I've been playing a lot, well, this week is StarCraft 2, and it's one of those things where actually, when I was playing through Wings of Liberty, I was playing it through on a PC that wasn't as good. I've kind of seriously had an upgrade recently, and so I'm playing it on like top settings on my PC at home. And whilst the visuals don't really make a massive difference, other than sitting back and going, oh, God, blimey, this looks lovely, and it does, it's more the physics. And I love the fact that now, like, you're running around with Kerrigan, who's like this kind of like a psychic swarm leader now, and who has like the ability to command these huge, like, Starship Trooper style masses of aliens, but also have these amazing psychic powers. Yeah. And I can just zap individual stuff, and it's like the finger of death. It's just like, poof. And just seeing like these kind of quite chunky things just explode or get sent back, and literally like almost like exploding guys off cliffs. It's just fantastic. And it really does, like, it's one of those visual elements that really does make a massive difference.
Yeah. I mean, I think lots of games you kind of, the way they look, you can almost forget about once you've got into it. It's like, who cares? It's like the game, you're playing it, you kind of forgot if it looks good or not, really. It doesn't really matter. But this, it's constantly showing you something else that you think, wow, that's really cool. And that keeps it, I think that makes up for some of the shortcomings with the like the way the combat feels.
I found that with Lords of Shadow, actually, the last Castlevania game, it was just so varied. And it was like, it kept giving, and just at the point in the game where you kind of expect and would accept it to become maybe slightly rehashy and a bit less inventive. It doesn't. It's just like, oh, you're near the end of the game now, but have you seen this? And it's like, oh, this is cool.
Yeah.
And it's pretty awesome.
I think that game, I think, is a better game than this, than God of War Ascension is. Like, Lord of Shadow has, for one, it has much better combat than this does. But like, if you like, I like Kratos as a character. I know he's quite basic, but he is kind of the perfect, I'm just a really angry guy that's going to go and kill people.
He does angries,
and he's good at that.
I am well angry.
Yeah. So
I really wish I hadn't killed my wife and kids.
That is pretty much it.
That's his stick.
Get over it. Like, what's the problem?
Oh, come on. We've all made mistakes.
Yeah, exactly. Where? Just calm down. Just go to the pub.
Just stop ripping the wings off of things. But no, actually, if you haven't played Lords of Shadow, if you are a fan of like action games, do play Lords of Shadow, because the sequel's coming out soonish, I suppose.
They've been quite quiet, haven't they?
I think Mercury Steam are kind of being divas about it, but fair play to them, because I think it's one of these things where they've gone from being completely unknown to everyone going, hey, look at these guys, they're really good.
They can make good games.
And so suddenly they're just like, we're the kings of Spain, we're the kings of Spain. Fair play to them, and I really hope they do a doozy in the second one. But the second one is a direct continuation of the story. If you so far have been lucky enough to not get the story of Lords of Shadow spoiled for you at all,
I know nothing about it.
Well, buy it and play it and get it done, because seriously, like, it's a really cool game. It's got quite a cool story.
Am I the Lord of Shadow?
It's complicated. It's really good though, and actually, if you play. I think the second one is going to be a cracking game. I just get I feel it in my waters. And so it's well worth getting ahead and playing the first one.
It's hugely diverse as well, like Matt was saying. Yeah. Not just in terms of like the environments and what you're doing, but the combat and what you're doing in terms of like fighting or platforming or loads of, and you go to places you never think you would go to, and
it just keeps giving. It's like it's Castlevania, but obviously it's like you don't even see a castle for the first 10 hours of the game.
What?
And then you're in the castle, and it's awesome when you get to the castle.
Oh, you do get to a castle.
You do get to a castle, but it's just like so much stuff happens. It's like, you know, the problem is the start of the game's really rough. You're going through a swamp, it's rubbish. But then you're fighting this troll in a graveyard, and it's smashing down all the stones, and it's awesome. And then you're riding wolves up the sides of buildings, and it's just keeps doing stuff.
What?
Precisely,
you're riding wolves up the side of buildings.
Yeah. It's really, really cool in the fact that it keeps doing stuff. It's the sort of game.
Sounds awesome.
You know how like in the old Castlevania games you had all these like little crazy things you could do because it was 2D and it was simple. They could just do stuff. The sort of stuff that hasn't happened in 3D games because people can't do it. Where with sprites they could just go, sure, we could do that. We could let you do this crazy thing. In 3D games they kind of go, well, it's going to be quite difficult to implement.
It's really hard to
So
animate.
they either do it and then they like completely overuse it. So you do get to ride these wargs that are like these giant wolves, and you don't do it very often. You do it like a couple of times in the game, and it's the sort of thing that most game devs will go, no, we've spent like a month and a half making this work.
We had a whole separate studio working on the wargs.
We have to make it a key mechanic.
Warg studio.
It's like a lot of games feel like they have to squeeze the most out of something they've made.
Yeah.
Whereas actually the real magic is just having something you do for like 5 minutes, and it
More
just
is
becomes
less.
this special little moment.
So what we're saying is, don't buy God of War Ascension.
Lord of Shadow.
You could buy it.
It's quite good
Yeah.
if you've played Lord of Shadow already.
Yeah.
But if you haven't, just buy that and play that.
I haven't played Lord of Shadows.
I think lots of people get put off because it's pretty hard.
Oh,
I
is
think
it?
it's one of the hardest, like that kind of game. Like,
Can I put it on
Slash
easy?
games. You can, but I think normal medium is doable.
Okay.
It is. It does throw you into it. Actually,
is
the first
quite
fight
hard.
is like it doesn't mess around, but it's really satisfying. The combat is like really physical and chunky.
Yeah. Is it visceral?
It's not. It's meaty.
Okay.
It's meaty.
Meaty.
You
That's
kind of,
a better word.
Grab stuff with your chain and pull them
Yeah.
in, and it's like, you know, makes Scorpion from Mortal Kombat look like a pansy. It's
That's no mean.
and it's got a very dark story, and Patrick Stewart really phoning in some awful lines. But apart from that, it's quality.
Awesome.
But yeah, StarCraft 2 I've been playing a lot of, and actually I'm really impressed by it so far. They've made some really substantial tweaks to the multiplayer that I haven't really had a chance to get my head around. Because
I've had a look at a few of the tweaks they've done. Not so much like the unit types, but like the biggest thing, like I sort of told you as soon as I found out, is like your workers go and work automatically.
Yeah,
that is mental.
So when you build, at the start of the game, your workers start working automatically. When you build new workers, it starts them working automatically. I think when I'm playing as Zerg in the campaign, when you build overlords that are basically like the supply depots, they just go to a different place. So when you build them, they don't.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe that was in the original, but it seems like you can't accidentally send units you don't want to go into battle.
Okay.
And it seems like they've just tweaked the AI quite a bit for the
Yeah.
Zerg to make them behave more naturally. So they do feel like a sentient kind of group.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
if you order them, they'll do stuff, but they'll just do stuff anyway.
Okay.
And it's kind of cool. But yeah, they've got stuff like siege tanks. You don't need to research, so you can have...
Yeah, they've changed a few of the
Stuff.
sort of research paths and...
So I'm still getting my head around all that stuff. But the campaign, and I must admit, a lot of people slag off the campaigns and go, oh, who cares about the story? And it's like, oh, I do actually. I think they're really
Actually, it's, you know, for a real-time strategy game, which is primarily multiplayer PvP focused, like, they didn't have to put much effort into any of the campaign stuff.
No.
Like, they really didn't. People wouldn't care because people buy that game for the PvP. But the fact that they've put on these fairly decent campaigns is saying something.
I think if you play the campaign on a harder mode, it'll probably be different. But I'm just playing it on normal, and I'm fairly decent at StarCraft. But I'm loving it because it's almost like it knows the reason why I play single-player RTS campaigns, and that is basically to just build a big army of cool stuff and just to swamp around. And I love the fact that you've got the ability at any point, just presses F2, it just selects the swarm, which is basically all of your
combat
offensive units. So you just go F2, click, and just watch this huge army, because the army sizes you get are massive.
Yeah.
And it's like Starship Troopers. It's like being on the other side of Starship Troopers, just watching this stuff swarm the other team. And I also love the fact they've made it massively imbalanced. So because with the multiplayer, it has to be like perfectly balanced. With the single player, it's just like, let's just let you have fun with it. And so you have the ability to kind of evolve your troops. So you have these kind of like, it's really cool because in the first game you could sort of do something like this, and you could choose like certain upgrades for different units. But in this one, it's like you have some upgrades that you can toggle between. So you can just do, well, I want for this mission, I want faster units or like more aggressive or more health. But you also have these permanent things. You make these permanent choices where you can basically evolve certain units to have new traits. And the way it does that is awesome because basically it's like this overlord dude who genetically manipulates stuff is like, I found these different strains, and then you do these little missions where it's like you're flying through space and it zooms in on this planet and goes, on this planet we found this, and it's like he's found special creatures that exhibit certain behaviors, and you have to go and kill the creatures and take their DNA, and it just adds a like story element rather than just going, do you want these ones which do this or these ones that do this? It kind of adds a narrative weave to it. And it's really cool creating these units, but then you have to choose which one you want. And it means I've got Zerglings that can like jump up cliffs and leap at people, and Banelings that can bounce around. And it's really fun. And already I've only evolved 2 units, and I think there's evolutions for all of the units in the game. Maybe even multiple evolutions. I'm not sure yet. But already I feel like overpowered in a way that's like wicked fun.
Yeah, but a fun overpowered.
Oh yeah. It's still like I'm aware that if I want a challenge, I can put difficulty up. But at the moment, it's just like
just have fun with it.
It's just really good fun. It's properly just like.
Does it make you want to play Zerg in multiplayer? Because you're a Terran player.
That's a tough one, actually. Sort of. Not yet.
Okay.
Because I'm still really struggling with the keyboard commands and the letters being different and the way they work being different. But by the end of the campaign, I reckon, I'll probably
have a fairly good grasp of it,
At the moment, I haven't really had much need for huge tactics. It's more been like fun.
Just build loads.
Like I've got Banelings that when they explode, they heal troops nearby. So
what?
Yeah, there's like loads of modifiers and stuff you can play with.
Crazy.
So it means I've got these big dudes that are almost like Zerg walkers, and the Banelings can roll underneath their legs.
Oh yeah.
So I send them in, and
I
they
remember
start
that from the
attacking
trailer.
buildings. Yeah. And then they're getting low on health because they're getting shot. So then the Banelings come in and blow up the walls.
Yeah.
But then also heal
That's pretty
the
cool.
guys above them.
That's
and
so imba.
It's ridiculous. It's like basically, it's like if you're good at the game, then it lets you just swarm stuff. I've even got an upgrade on my hatchery in the campaign that just automatically brings Zerglings back when they die. So if I build a Zergling army, then it's just like, you don't even have to build more Zerglings.
What?
It's just like, they're all back now. Yeah. So about 30 seconds later, it's like, your army's back.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's just taking all that micromanagement out. It means if you are a casual player who just wants to stomp stuff and have fun.
That sounds pretty good.
Wicked fun.
Yeah.
I'd really, really recommend it so far. I mean, I'm working on the review at the moment, but it's going to take me a while because I really need to get my head around the balance and how worth it is it if you just want to play the multiplayer stuff. That's going to take a bit longer. But so far, if you fancy a kind of like Command and Conquer style bit of fun, then I really recommend it.
Yeah, because I imagine there's probably a few people out there who would just play StarCraft for the campaign.
My dad does. I mean, my dad loves strategy games,
sure.
And he basically just plays the single player campaigns, and he'll play them on normal, then he'll play it on hard. And, he's like completed Company of Heroes like 3 times, and he doesn't play that many games, but he really loves
the strategy.
He likes the strategy, he likes the stories, and he just does that. I think a lot of time, people do write that stuff off, but for some people, it's what they buy it for.
Yeah.
And
I forget. Like some people just hate the idea of like PvP.
Yeah.
Like for me now, like I've kind of gone into phase of if it doesn't have some sort of competitive, online competitive mode, then it kind of there's not much drawing me to it. Like I like single player games, and I need to be in a certain mood for that though. Like Tomb Raider, I kind of just got into Tomb Raider and just did it, and the way it's kind of structured just made it very easily to play and complete in a few days. But in terms of like longevity, if I'm spending 30-40 quid on a game, I want it to have some sort of PvP, because that keeps me interested for long periods, because there's always someone better than you.
Yeah, totally. And it is funny because when I'm playing this on single player, I know I'm playing really badly, and I know that if I played this way on online, I'd just get whooped. Yeah. But it's actually, they've done a good job with longevity on that as well. You've still got all the achievements for each mission, and I think because you can choose these quite diverse ways of upgrading the troops, I think if I did go back and play it on a different difficulty and chose the other options, the way I play would be quite different. Yeah. And you would probably actually approach missions very differently as well. Okay. I'm really looking forward to being able to, because I can now jump Banelings up cliffs. I just can't wait for a mission where I can literally just go around the back of somebody's base and go send this amazing giant flow of purple Banelings and just destroy their base from behind. It's good. But you've been playing some SimCity as well, right, Matt?
I did. I made a city.
You've managed to get through the walls of controversy on this one.
Yeah, so
we'll talk about that at the end, actually.
Yeah, like server issues aside, just to sort of preface this, I've not had any login issues. I haven't been disconnected
because you were quite late to the party. Well, not late to the party.
I left it a week for things to sort of settle down.
Yeah,
and then when I heard like the European side of things was kind of all settled down, not many problems, I was like, all right, I do want to play this game. Like I really love SimCity games. So, I got it, and I've personally not had any issues in terms of logging in or getting disconnected or any weird stuff like that. In terms of like what they've disabled, like server side, they had disabled cheater speed, which is like the fastest game speed, but that was enabled when I started playing, so I've not had any issues like that. But the game itself, I like it. I think it's not really a SimCity game that people would have wanted, though. Like they've kind of made what they wanted to make.
It sounds like their ambitions for the game are different to maybe what people are expecting, at least.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely in terms of what people are expecting. Everyone will harp on about the city size, and the city sizes are
It does seem to be a real sticking point for a lot of people.
Really tiny. And I think that's the thing that puts me off the most. The fact that my first city, in 3 hours, I'd filled the city thing. And we play SimCity games with the mindset that we're going to build a massive sprawling city, but the new SimCity is all about regions. It's all about multiple cities interconnecting and helping each other out. And
it sounds like the social side of that is something they really want to push. I don't really get it, but because I haven't actually had a chance to play the game yet.
Yeah.
But it seems like they want to kind of have this ongoing thing where you're going to be like trading resources with other friends.
Well, the thing is, you can do that. Like, I have no interest in playing with like other people, to be honest, but I've like created a region which is private. So every city block, and I've made like, you can choose different region sizes. So you can choose a region size that can only support like 3 cities, or there's like 5 cities, and it goes up to like 16 cities. So I created a big 16 city region.
Sure.
And I plan to just have all control of all the cities. Like that's how I'm playing the game. I'm playing like completely single player. I don't want to have to rely on other people.
But if you weren't an antisocial git, could I like go and make a city in your region?
Yeah.
That's interesting, I suppose.
Yeah, and that's kind of what it's definitely what they're pushing. It's like, hey, work together, join your cities up, and like specialize, because it's all about city specialization. Like,
do they have stuff like how much crossover is there between one city and the other? So if Matt's city was like a load of criminals, for example,
they come and nick your VCRs,
but they were like they were massive poverty, and they were stealing stuff basically.
That would affect my city.
They're next door to you. Would they then come over and start causing trouble in yours?
Yeah, I'd get a rise in crime, or there'd be a lot more criminals in my town if Matt's town next to me.
That's awesome. I've got to get this game just so I can troll people with ghettos.
That's the thing. And
if purposefully building,
if your city is like 90% industrial and creating tons of pollution,
can I get 90% crime?
You probably could, yeah.
Sweet.
But if you've got like a really big industrial city, and that's something that you can sort of aim towards, and have a like really strong economy and exporting tons of stuff, but that'll create a lot of pollution. That pollution will carry over to other cities in that region. So if you got one city, if I'm next to you, and I think there's like wind in the city, so you don't want to place your industrial sort of downwind of your residential area, but I think that wind travels through the region. So if I'm sort of upwind of your big industrial city, all that pollution will spread into my city.
All that delicious pollution.
Yeah.
Can say if I was like Tony Soprano or someone, and I was like in my little area city, and I was running that fine, could I overthrow you?
You couldn't overthrow
and
me.
Be like, I'd take over your city.
Rubbish. Then.
No,
see, this is
not
kind
civilization.
The thing is, I'm not sure I like it. All sounds a bit happy, clappy, Farmville, nicey to me, and I like the idea because in real life you kind of have local cities and stuff. They kind of like have agreements and stuff, but also you can tell there's just so much bitchiness and politics, and the mayor from one town is like clearly a knob and is like corrupt, and I kind of like the idea of having that, almost of having to do the nicey
rival
stuff,
cities,
but also clearly being like trying to depose people,
yeah.
and maybe not having like the kind of Civ style plant a hidden nuke or I've got a great wall, but being able to maybe take control of their cities through slow, insidious PR wars, almost like having like doing the stuff that makes you look better. So eventually they lose their job, and it means that actually they end up having to go and work looking after the rubbish cities. If they had a vaguely competitive gradual game like that, that'd be awesome.
That would be cool. It would be cool if you could
you log on
influence other cities, but in a hostile way.
Yeah, you realise you've lost control of your best city because the public have deemed you to be a rubbish mayor.
Cool. That would be really cool.
But because I've heard concerns that they're kind of aspiring to make kind of that Facebook game 2.0 sort of thing of having this sort of social game which they can hopefully keep sustained through this stuff. I mean, do you see any concerns with that stuff, or is that just fear mongering?
It's hard to say really, because I just ignore all the social stuff.
Right.
Like I have one Origin friend. That maybe that just speaks
Origin.
to that. Probably just speaks to Origin
Lolligin.
as a service. Lolligin. So in terms of like the social stuff, like I couldn't care less, and I haven't really dipped my toes into that all because my one Origin friend doesn't play SimCity.
Oh, so that's like small violin stuff, isn't it?
That's fine with me because I never wanted that social side.
Well, it's interesting. It's interesting because obviously the new SimCity clearly isn't what people wanted, so to speak. But a lot of people I know seem to be really, really enjoying it. So
that's the thing. I'm still enjoying it. Yeah. There's elements that really frustrate me. Like in terms of building roads, you have different densities of roads. So before in SimCity, when you'd zone like residential, you'd have 3 options for residential. Like you'd have your low density residential, medium, and high. You don't have that anymore. You just zone residential, but the density is decided by the type of road it's built next to.
What is this, tarmac convention, Matt? Come on, I don't...
So you get
you're talking in granite.
It's basically road sizes.
Oh, gotcha.
So you got like small roads, medium roads, and big roads.
I was so confused then.
But then you have your roads and you have your avenues. 2 different things, right? Which is really annoying. If you're building like a small road, you can then upgrade that to a medium road and to a high road. And anything that's built on that will kind of scale to that road.
Okay, right.
If that makes sense.
Got you.
So you start with a low density road, and then the houses there are tiny. And as those people get more wealthy, they'll want to sort of upgrade their house essentially. And to do that, you have to upgrade the road. You make that a medium density road, and then all those houses, if everything's in line, those houses will then upgrade to medium density houses, and then so on and so forth up to high density. But
then you eventually replace them all with a hotel.
They'll do that by themselves. Like they'll turn from houses into like big sort of apartment blocks, and that's kind of nice to see. Like when you first started your residential area, it's all just tiny houses, and then like a few hours later, they're like all these sort of big sort of high-rise apartments.
It's all about having nice roads. I live in a very poor area of London, and the roads are terrible. Yeah, so maybe if I purposefully go out and pour some cement into all the potholes, then the houses nearby will get nicer.
Maybe. So, but my problem is that once you get to the highest density road, if you want an avenue is an even bigger. It's like a dual carriageway, essentially.
Oh, really? Because avenues sound small to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. In SimCity, avenues are like essentially like dual carriageways.
Okay.
And they can support like a ton of traffic, but there's a certain type of avenue which is a streetcar avenue, and this is like streetcars
American terms.
Streetcars, streetcars are trams for us.
What next?
The trams,
boulevards.
And if you've got like once your city's like massive, your citizens will want streetcars, aka trams, but you can't change a road into an avenue. That's annoying. So you have to plan way ahead. Yeah. You either have to bulldoze a bunch of stuff in order to put in this streetcar avenue, or you have to plan that miles ahead.
Like buy those houses from people.
No, you just bulldoze it.
Sale, whatever it is.
No, you just bulldoze it.
They should have just done what Croydon's done, where we are. Yeah. The trams run on the same roads as
but it did take a long time.
Well, it's working now.
Yeah, this is true.
Saying.
This is true.
So, what
so that's annoying. It's like you kind of have to really plan ahead, and your city can't do everything, and that's the annoying. That's the thing that frustrates me.
Because you can have 16 of these little cities.
Yeah.
Does that not make up for the fact that you can't have one big city?
It's not the same.
Why isn't it the same?
Because the thing I really liked about SimCity, and like my fondest memories are with SimCity 2000, I think.
Yeah, everyone.
Where you'd start your city and wherever. Well, first off, you could terraform the map to how you wanted it, but you can't do that anymore. Yeah. That's fine.
Thanks, EA.
Yeah, thanks, Maxis. You can't terraform. But the thing about the old SimCity is that you'd start off in a very small region, then you slowly grow out and out and out and out, and then suddenly you're taken over. Before you know it, you've taken over the entire map, and you can't remember where you started. And then you're micromanaging like different areas, and you got districts, and that felt really cool. Like it's a sense of progression. Whereas here, it's like you can fill in a city block within an hour. Like you could essentially be done with your city.
My main concern is I'm obviously quite a creative chap, and I really, one of my favourite things, one of my favourite city building games ever was Black and White 2. Well, the rest of the game was a bit daft, but I loved the way that it had these wonderful abilities to make like curved roads and settlements, and you could make these cities that when you zoomed out and looked at the island from the sky, you kind of get these beautiful cities. It was just like, I thought, wow, this is like,
I made this.
This is what like
this big
the
sprawling
ancient Greek gods lived in, like this awesome place. And I get the impression in this is like, if you're not kind of going to make that traditional American grid style city, then and you start doing curved roads and stuff, it's like, oh yeah, you've run out of space.
Oh, then the curved roads are fine. Like you can design a cool looking city. You just don't get that sense of a sprawling city.
It's annoying that EA have said, oh, we might increase the size of the city at some point.
People would love that.
Why don't you just do it? People it's just pressing a button.
Absolutely love that. If you could just, if you could play like a non-region city and just have a massive block that is the size of a region, that's the game I want.
Well, I'm going to dive into it in a different way. I'm going to play it when I get a chance and just go super social and do all the Origin stuff as best I can and see what that's like, and I might revisit this at some point. But obviously the Origin stuff, that's been the major news item. Again, we don't have Scammell, aka News Cannon Scammell, to blast us
hot
in the face with that. So basically, the main bit of news this week has been this stuff with EA. It's increasingly, it's very strange. It used to be that you get a new game and you want to get a game day one, whereas now it's like,
I'm going to wait.
I'm not going to get day one. I'll get it in a week when it'll work.
Yeah, we'll review it in a week when it works.
Because I got bitten by Diablo 3, and after that, after Era 73, I'm just like, I'm not doing that anymore. Yeah. Because it's so frustrating, because often you do to get it when the game has worked properly and you're riding this wave of hype. That's when you spend the most money on it. And I did that with Diablo 3. I spent 50 quid on a digital download because I just thought, sod it, I'm going to play it tonight. And I didn't play it tonight or tomorrow night.
Exactly. And wait a week to play Diablo 3.
It's been a massive jip, and there have been rumours that the game would have worked fine without the online stuff, and we don't know confirmation of that. It's all a bit up in the air.
It wouldn't surprise me though, because I mean, simply put, this isn't a consumer-friendly, thing, is it? They're not like, oh, we're protecting you, and it's. I mean, in my opinion, that is rubbish. And sooner or later, someone is probably going to find out a way to run SimCity offline.
Well, it's been done for Notch did it. He ran SimCity offline for it works for about 20 minutes real time.
Sure.
And then once it realizes it's not connecting to the servers, then it
like Wile E. Coyote or something running off the edge of a cliff and keeping on running until it goes, oh, actually, I know what I'm meant to be doing.
Yeah, so I think Notch tweeted saying he'd done that.
I read, this may be a load of rubbish, but I read that if it runs and it realises it's not connected, it just all your buildings just burn.
I don't know if that's true.
Someone was just trolling, maybe.
But that'd be a nice touch, though.
We will destroy you.
Just meteor showers.
Because I got that a lot with Diablo 3. It now runs fairly well, but at first it was a massive problem. The fact that if you disconnected, then when you reloaded the game, you'd be at the last checkpoint. And in the early stages of the game, often that would be like 10 minutes of progress, and you can do a lot in 10 minutes. So you'd be like, why am I back here?
It's just not it's so user unfriendly, the whole thing. And then to have it, I mean, if it does need to be online all the time, then I apologize in advance, but I'm sorry. It just seems like they're shoehorning it in because they're like, oh, well, piracy, where? So you're harming the people, essentially, that are paying money.
It feels like a chip. And actually, I think the hype for SimCity was so unexpectedly large. I think in many ways, they would have been better off not doing it. And I reckon, because I don't represent the masses by any means, but if I would have bought it last weekend, I would have dropped 30 quid and I would own it now. And I don't now, and I'm not sure when I'll own it. Because if you don't get me straight away, then it might be a case of waiting for it to be a tenner or something. But I think a lot of people, there was two massive messages, and the one was like, SimCity's awesome, we should get it and play it online together. And the second one is, SimCity doesn't work. And with me, the second one definitely one in my brain. So
Well,
I think they have to. Hopefully, EA are really looking at this stuff carefully now and going, "Was that a good idea?"
They have
because
to,
I don't think. I think they could have sold more copies of the game.
Yeah, I think that, the simple fact is, if you buy a product, that product has to work. And SimCity, for a lot of people, did not work.
Yeah.
And there was this whole kerfuffle as well about how there was, refunds. There would be refunds for certain retailers. There wouldn't be from others. There was a rumor, like a chat log. It could have been faked, but I don't know, about someone from Origin support saying if you contest the decision, your account will be banned. Or to take this further about a refund, your account will be banned. It's just like that can all do one. It makes me so angry, as you can probably tell. It's like, I'm trying to give you money, and you're doing your level best, it seems, to stop me doing that, or make it difficult. And it's just like, I remember when I got a new PC, as I've said, and it had a certain graphics card. It's like you can download some free games. Sweet. So Far Cry 3, wonderful. Gonna buy that anyway, but since I've dropped the cash on the card, get it for free. No, you've got to download Uplay. Okay, so I download Uplay. And I'm installing it, downloading it, and it says, please insert disc 2. And I went mad. I went absolutely mad. And I started screaming like a child, like, into the internet. And I was like, if I'd have just gone to it was free anyway, essentially. Well, if I'd have gone to the Pirate Bay, or anywhere, other sites are available, as the BBC might say, and just stolen the fucker, I wouldn't have had any of this problem. Eventually I did get it to work, because after I shouted at the screen for what seemed like days, Kratos style smash.
Absolutely. And it's we've been talking a lot about emulation recently, and it's just like, especially with older stuff, it's just like, I've thought this for years, but now it's getting to the point where it's just like, come on, guys. I mean, digital downloads are fixing this a lot. But it is this stupid thing of being like, I really want to play this old game. How do I do that? It's like, well, go on retro sites and buy an old console and buy an old card.
No.
It's just like, I just want to play it. And actually, I can play it and emulate it, and it's better. I just sort of think, get on it. Like, I've said for many years that piracy is not a criminal issue. Piracy is an issue of not meeting demand.
Access,
and it's just a case of like, hey, you know what? Music piracy has gone down hugely. Why? Because Spotify and stuff offers
people made
a better service.
Yeah, people made it. As soon as you made music accessible, like sort of Spotify,
issue,
iTunes, Amazon, it was not an issue.
It's not an issue of people wanting stuff for free. That's the thing, is all the companies act like
there will be some people. There will be some people who still just want stuff for free.
Yeah.
But I think that's the minority now in terms of music down there.
Yeah.
Like, there's a minority. Like
Netflix.
I barely listen to music, and I subscribe to Spotify because it was just so easy. Like, it was so easy. Like, I can just leave that on there and they've got to
not worry about games, because there's so many. We were talking today about Road Rash. Really want to play Road Rash. If there was a service where I could go and buy Road Rash for £4 and just get an emulated version, legit, that I own forever. I'd do that. Done. And I reckon another 10,000 people would. Bosh, money.
Absolutely. It's just
I think GOG's doing all right.
I think you need a good old games for consoles. And I don't see why that could be. I
mean, that's Sony kind of. That's their goal, isn't it? I think is to have this kind of thing. With the Gaikai stuff.
If that can work.
Can you imagine if, like, in other industries though, if publishers just discarded a lot of their back catalogue, if they went, Citizen Kane's a bit old, fuck that noise, don't worry about it. Godfather, 72, please. No, the only way you can get Godfather now is still on VHS. Actually, it's on reel to reel. You have to own a cinema and a projector to watch. Sorry, but I'm sorry. And it's just like, and
that's a really good point, actually, in the fact that you do. That's why people still do well with sales and stuff, because it's like, well, for classic movies, you could go and download a hooky copy, or you could get the Blu-ray and it'll look amazing. It'll be mastered.
And you can own like ownership as a capitalism, but I want the cool art that came with The Godfather. That's got a really iconic.
That's something
poster
as well. Actually, that's something that games still hasn't really learnt from with their making it worthwhile. Like, bands and stuff do it awesome. They have Kickstarters for albums that you get t-shirts. You get actually physical things you want. It's like, naff off with these plastic figurines and these 70 quid boxes. It's like, there is a real opportunity to make people buy games by giving them something meaningful that they want. But like, the stuff they whack in these special editions, you'd have to be a mental child to actually want it most of the time.
I got a coin with The Witcher 2.
Dave isn't here at the moment to defend himself. Calling you a mental child is a bit unfair.
All right, just the child then. All right, we'll keep it to that. But anyway, there is actually some other stuff. I did want to talk about Tides of Numenera, but we're going to skip that for now because I'm a massive Planescape Torment fan, and we will talk about that when it gets to the end of Kickstarter. It's already made its Kickstarter, which means it is happening.
Bloody smashed it.
Smashed it out the window. But we'll talk about that when the Kickstarter's ended, so we can actually talk about all the full features and all that stuff. I might even dedicate a whole podcast to that. Sod it. Anyway, we're going to jump onto questions. So we've had a bunch of questions from the forums last week we didn't have time for. So we'll start off with them.
Let's start with Ever the Optimist. He asks, if you had the chance to open and run a high street gaming store, how would you do it differently to the shops that can't seem to succeed in today's economic climate?
First off, I wouldn't do that because I think it would be insane.
Yeah.
But I do think there's actually a thing I might be going tonight to actually is some company called, I think, Drink, Relax, Play. They've got a bar in somewhere weird. Where is it? Not weird, just not London.
Is this the one they've got one in Cornwall?
Yes,
Falmouth.
that's it.
I've been there. I think
the loading bar. The loading bar.
I didn't know it was there when I went there on holiday, and it just was. I was walking down the street, and it's like, oh, I've seen that place before.
They seem good, and they're trying to do something in London. Actually, I'm going to go to it tonight. They're trying to make it a kind of monthly thing if they can get enough interest and just have a monthly event there. So do have a look at that. I think it's Loading Bar if you Google that. And I think that the way I do it, the way they're doing it actually, of having it being like less of a bar and more of a kind of like a social place where you can go and play games. And actually some pubs have done that. I remember when a lot of pubs were smart and they were like, come and play Wii tennis in our bar. And that was just super smart. But I'm surprised that hasn't continued. I mean, when I was at university, we really ramped up our uni bar by just holding FIFA and PES competitions in the bar. That
will bring in the masses.
Precisely. And I don't see actually why you haven't got like Call of Duty competitions and stuff. I think it's more a case of having a social space where people can come play games together and chill out.
I feel like can make something where you have some kind of loyalty to that place. Like when I was a kid, I used to buy some of my games from this local independent retailer. We used to go and play like LAN deathmatch in the back room.
Nice.
You used to be able to pay like a couple of quid for an hour or something. And they also sold games as well, and they were a bit overpriced compared to like online, like mail order, what it was then, or whatever it was. But we used to buy stuff from there because we had a loyalty to that shop because we spent a lot of our time playing multiplayer and stuff like Duke 3D, LAN matches and stuff. So like if you can do something where you build a loyalty to that shop or that place, I think that would help.
Definitely. You can have like karaoke booths where you like have like nice little sofas and stuff. Because I always find it's hard to get people around my house when you're in, especially when you live in a city like London where it's quite big and it takes a while to get around.
Yeah.
You always have to meet up in Central somewhere.
Yeah.
Just because otherwise people are like, oh, it's going to take me ages to get home. So just having locations where you can meet up and play Bomberman.
Yeah, just kind of. I went to
Bomberman bar. There you go.
This is not retail, but like I went to. There's a pub in Edinburgh I went to, and they just had like. The pub had loads of TVs, but they just had FIFA hooked up, and people just like having a drink. And this was like Friday night, and people sit down, have a game of FIFA, and just have a drink, and then people jump on, have a game of FIFA. It's like if I was to run a high street retail store, I think you got to try and create some sort of community with that sort of like the connection thing, and try and make give people a reason to come back to that place.
Yeah.
Not just to buy games, but just to be there. It's like we got a shop downstairs, an like, independent place.
It's almost like you have if you have like a Street Fighter competition in the thing, then it's like come to the Street Fighter competition. It's £5 to enter the competition. There's a prize, and if you enter it, then you get 10 quid off a pre-order.
Yeah, like just giving people a reason to be in there. And I'm not talking about loyalty cards. Like screw that. Like a social reason to be there. And I think that's. Obviously, if you a chain store like HMV, it's almost impossible to do. But if you're independent, then I think that's probably
like downstairs, the shop downstairs. They do a Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, like on the weekend, like kids are literally just hanging out on our doorstep playing is it Magic or whatever. Like they have a reason to be at that shop, and then eventually they'll probably spend some money there.
Sure,
and it's that sense. And I think that's probably why a lot of independent games retailers
stuff like Games Workshop
are able to stay in
is
business.
built on that kind of thing, isn't it?
Exactly, because you go in and you
see
paint.
them in there like every weekend. There's always people just playing with each other.
Yeah,
and I assume they also buy their kits and stuff from there as well.
Through the windows.
I think Games Workshop is perfect. Oh, I just smashed my microphone. I think Games Workshop is a perfect example of that, in the sense that Games Workshop, you're not just there to buy stuff. They're not saying, hey, come to Games Workshop and buy our stuff. This is more like, hey, come here. Yeah. We'll have painting classes. We'll have games going on.
No one will judge you in here.
It's like, have you got a beard?
They're always judging, Steve. They're always judging you in there.
It is a haven for people who've got beards, ginger hair, or ponytails.
You've all missed the point, though, on like if you're running a high street store. And this is what I learned from the independent shop where I used to buy all my games, is don't worry about, putting stuff on, just break the bloody street date. I got Vice City 2 days early, and I could have kissed the guy who owned that shop. I just walked past it, there it was, and I was like, ran in, like, take my money, and he was like, okay, just, and
take my money.
Just break the street by a week. A whole week.
I remember a dude gave me, I was buying Final Fantasy X, and I said, can I have one of those posters? They're these massive posters of Tidus, and he was like, yeah, all right. And I was just like, I spent a lot. I probably spent about another 60 quid in that shop in the next few months.
Well, that's it. It's
just because I was like, oh my God, they gave me a poster.
Yeah, you create that connection with your customers. This is all, very easy to say than, in practice, but if you create that connection, then people have a reason to want to come back.
Yeah, it's pretty much suicide starting a shop now for anyone, but yeah. But yeah, that's a good question though. Good question.
Yeah, PB Live then asks, it looks as if Nintendo will have had at least 12 months to create an install base before the other two consoles appear.
Lol.
Yeah. What do they need to do in that time
impeccably placed lol.
What do they need to do in that time to be a success? And does a third place mean fail if you sell enough software?
I got fixated on that lol. I think that was the 180 of lols. That was bullseye. I don't know. They're screwed. It doesn't really matter. I mean, technically having a year head start would be really good on paper, but
do we think Nintendo is screwed?
I think this year is like, if they can't make like the second half of this year, if they can get out a Mario and a Zelda, maybe they're okay. But
yeah.
Why aren't they monetizing? Like, they've got the IP. Their consoles, okay, they're interesting. But like,
they should just sell. They should just do a real world Valve and just sell real world hats. Just sell Mario hats.
People love hats.
Just put Mario on everything.
Lunchboxes.
People will be like, wow, lose the magic. What, the magic of paying up 100 or 200 quid extra to play Mario? That's not magic.
Also,
that's just stupidity.
The new Mario game does not look like magic. Mario 64 was magic. The new Mario game just looks like a Mario game. That was actual
magic. It was like, how have they done this?
But it doesn't really matter. Like, everyone's like, Nintendo is screwed. And it's like, Nintendo are screwed this generation. But also, they run themselves so differently to other companies. Other companies just splash their money around trying to make more. Whereas Nintendo just go, oh, we've had a good year. And they had a good year about 5 years ago where they made like more money than God. And so, that's it. It's flop like so hard this gen. It doesn't matter. Like, they can just come in next time.
I've got a trust fund. Their trust fund is their IP.
It's like Sony make or break. Like, Sony could genuinely go under, but Nintendo don't. They save their money. They're smart. They're frugal, and they're going to be fine. It's just that they've really missed the mark. But that's what Nintendo have always done. People are like, oh, Nintendo screwed. It's like, no, Nintendo have always been people who experiment and innovate with toys, and they get it wrong, and they get it wrong, and then they get it wrong, and then every now and then they get it so right.
Yeah,
and they got it so right with the NES and the Wii and
DS. But
DS, yeah.
DS is like...
DS Lite is sex in plastic. That's probably my favourite console of all time.
That's one of my favourites of meme, DS and printing money. Yeah, it's true though.
I gave my DS Lite to my mum when I got a 3DS, and I really regret it. I might just buy myself a new DS Lite.
You could just take it back.
You
could just give her the 3DS, like trade up.
Trade up, yeah.
Just saying.
I've been thinking about getting a DS. I used to have a DS. Yeah. I used to have a DS, and I bought it purely to play Uendan. And I'm sure there's other games that come out since then, right?
There's loads.
Yeah. I think I had the biggest games catalogue ever.
Oh, Trauma Center. I also played Trauma Center.
That was good, but way too hard.
Super hard.
That game freaked the hell out of me.
I ended up having to learn double stylus for Trauma Center.
Do you remember that level where it was... Trauma Center, right, is like a surgery simulator.
Mentally good.
And the first 3 levels are you just doing serious surgeries, we got a laceration, we got this. And then there's one where it's a kid's been knocked over by a car, and you're just finishing the surgery, and heart surgery or something, and then suddenly out of nowhere, all these pieces of glass
you discover more
from his chest, and it's
and then weird. And then there's bacteria stuff that grow, and then you got to syringe
really
it. Oh, it got really.
But
really
the DS hasn't. I had a guy staying in our house recently, and he was just a gamer, but he just bought a DS. And I was like, I got this really cheap, and I got all these games on eBay. You can buy them all for $5. And he was like, it's so good, and I was like, yeah, why did I stop playing Nintendo?
Yeah.
It's like, I still had like about 50 games I wanted to play.
Yeah.
Because some of them were amazing.
That's it.
My favourite game ever, one of them actually, is Chibi Robo Park Patrol, which was just, sounds ridiculous. But
I was going to say.
it was a game where you played a tiny robot who had to clean up a park. And it was basically had this really strong recycling message.
Okay.
And it was such a strong but subtle message about, hey, don't throw things away. Some things have been thrown away when they're not actually worthless yet. And maybe you should think about that. Actually, that was what made me start recycling. And it's like,
Really?
they should give this game to kids. Like, we'd have the planet that Captain Planet wanted.
He was living in the dream world, though.
Or David Bowie.
Yeah.
Captain Planet's hair is just... Oh, no, sorry. I've gone off on a big tangent. Unfortunately, you've reminded me about Captain Planet.
Oh, dear. Is this going to open up a box of childhood worms?
No,
or
and
something?
now I'm thinking about other things that I've buried in my past, like...
What?
Like they've come to light on this podcast, like Avril Lavigne or Burnout Paradise.
Yeah.
This is just a regression thing.
It's therapy. It's bad.
Is.
It's
We
bad.
don't actually put this podcast out online, you know, Steve. This is actually like just a group therapy session.
Do you guys exist?
Nope.
I'm worried now.
Or just
I'm actually
figments
worried.
of your
Someone tweet me.
imaginations. And if you're listening to this podcast now, you are trapped in the dream of the windfish.
Actually, good movie idea that.
What?
No, we
Avril
won't.
Lavigne?
No, we won't say it because someone will steal it.
Okay, tell me
Okay.
afterwards. We'll
Yeah,
make this.
yeah.
Then we'll make it. We'll make it.
I don't remember what the question is, but let's have another one.
Final question from Dancing Rhino. This is a more generic question. If your house/flat was burning down, all the people and pets are out safely, and you only had time to save one personal belonging, what would it be?
An external hard drive I've got hidden in a box.
Oh yeah, just in case the police raid.
No.
What is hidden in what? Why?
No, because I got burgled like last year, and it made me think I was kind of lucky because they took lots of nice stuff, but they didn't take my PC because it's big.
Yeah.
And I've got so many years of stuff on porn.
Yeah. Porn.
Stuff, you know,
Yeah,
like
yeah, it's
documents,
fine.
pictures, everything. Like a lot of it is
Yeah,
now like with
pictures.
Facebook.
Yeah.
You have shut the fuck up. Like projects, like you know, like source files. Like you know, I made like an internet YouTube video years ago called Bam, that kind of went a bit mini viral. It was an advert for butter and jam mixed together in a jar. It is quite funny actually. You can Google it. I think you have to Google in Bam advert. It's ridiculous. But I've still got the source files from that. I've still got like the original filming bits, and it's like I don't really ever look at them. But
I used to do
it's
that.
nice.
I've actually still got two sort of. I don't know what you call it. You know when you used to buy CDs and they come in like a plastic rung thing?
Yeah.
I've still got two of those of just source files of video from university. No idea what. It's all crap. Like it's all rubbish. Like the stuff I made in uni was rubbish. I don't know why I'm keeping them, but I've still got them in a box.
But no, it's depressing sometimes when you think, oh God, I made that, didn't I? Or like even if it's just a stupid Photoshop picture, and then you realise, oh no, it was on an old PC. And everyone's done that once where you've actually not backed up a PC properly. So now I try and actually, whenever I get stuff that's important, I have an update. And I just think, I don't know, it'd be so many years of memories lost. Because I think that's something actually, when I was at art college years ago, I made a conceptual art piece about this concept, which is true actually. But I kind of thought it was kind of a bit worrying that in the past everyone would have kind of shoeboxes full of stuff and photo albums, physical things that could still be lost and destroyed, but still like it's less easy to lose them because you can just, at the worst comes to worst, they'll be in a box in the attic. Whereas now, so much of my possessions and things that are important to me are digital.
Yeah.
And I just think it's so easy to just lose them forever. It's very transient and very risky.
Yeah.
And I kind of thought, we're kind of putting all of our lives on CDs and DVDs. And is that wise? Because maybe...
To the cloud.
Well, yeah, the cloud is better. The cloud is better. So
you'd save that,
save that.
stashed away hard drive.
Stashed away hard drive.
Okay. CID will be round to have a chat with you.
Please don't raid my house.
Hard drive.
Steve, what would you save?
What, like anything?
Yeah, one possession.
My watch.
You're wearing your watch.
What?
Well,
You don't have to go and save that.
Okay,
A watch?
So say the fire broke out overnight. I take my watch off when I go to bed.
okay.
So
Who are you, James Bond?
He does love his watches. You're not.
yeah, it's
Let's see your watch.
it's not this one. It's a different one.
Oh, right.
It's that
A
yeah.
special watch.
It's a
Not
nice watch.
very nice.
So-
Are you Bernard?
Oh.
Are you a grown-up version of Bernard from Bernard's Watch?
I don't know what that is.
All right. Well, people listening might have done and might have laughed. Carry on.
Tom, what would you save? One possession.
I don't know. I mean, Matt's answer is kind of.
It's boring.
You can't have the
It's
same
kind of- It's
answer.
hard not to just agree with that.
No, you can't agree with that.
I don't know. I think that's a sensible option.
my PS3, because I'm currently playing God of War Ascension, if I lose my game save, I'll be pissed off because I've got again.
You've got PlayStation Plus.
Exactly.
I know, but that might not be updated fully. The update,
the cloud sync.
Updates at 8 to 10. I was playing it after that last night.
Oh, yeah.
So
sentimental things that are really important.
I'd have to replay that bit.
Yeah,
the real answer was like all the photos and stuff, but I was just doing it funny.
I like it. No, it made me laugh.
It's
good.
Good.
Any other questions from the forum?
That's it.
That's it. Okay. Yeah. Well, we had a couple of questions from Twitter. We're overextending very slightly, but screw it. It's a Wednesday. Happy Wednesday, everybody! If you are listening on the Wednesday,
I hate people who call Wednesday Hump Day.
What?
It's because they never heard that.
Maybe you should be getting frisky more often. Then.
No, it's not even a sexy hump day. It's
once you're over the hump.
I hate that. I hate it.
The top of the crest of the hill, essentially, you're down into the.
I hate that.
Sliding out into the weekend.
I hate that phrase.
Yeah.
Something about it really bothers me. Hump day.
Okay.
It's Wednesday.
I hate Wednesday.
So we have a kind of vaguely two-part question here from someone called Dan Ritchie. Says, was the PlayStation 3's pricing down to the cell processor and high expectation of the system? Yeah, it was down to the cell processor and all of the other tech
Blu-ray.
They put in. Basically, they filled it with their own technology because they wanted to make the maximum money. They wanted to create the new industry standards in the same way that the Panasonic and stuff had done with their DVD.
Betamax.
And it really bit them in the bum because they didn't sell enough of it and it didn't work. And the second part of the question was, given the PlayStation 3's swollen price tag, are we likely to see a similar pricing with a PS4? Possibly, but for different reasons. I don't know. The one thing I wonder about is this RAM they're putting it in is like super sexy.
Super RAM, isn't it?
And
super
everyone
RAM,
is like, the industry is like seriously stroking themselves off over it. And fair play, because it sounds awesome. Everyone's like, it's going to be better than PC because of this special RAM. But I'm wondering if they've got a good deal on it. Like, did they buy in bulk?
Go to Dabs, get a deal, or scan daily deals.
Exactly.
I do wonder if it does feel like people go into the market at closing time, because I know that Apple have had a massive market domination, and now Samsung are in on that as well, on solid state memory. And for years, solid state memory was expensive just because it was just being bought by Apple and the market demand couldn't keep up with it. And I wonder now if that's why they've got this RAM. It's like, oh, we can't get any of this solid state stuff. What can we get? We'll get some of this RAM. Yeah, it's similar, isn't it?
Oh, my mate Dave's got this. It's DDR5, mate. You don't want that DDR3. Everyone's using DDR3.
Although I must admit, I don't know how expensive it's going to be. I wonder if it's going to be expensive, but I must admit, it is really nice to see Nvidia getting snubbed, because I've had years of PC snobbies going, oh, you've got an AMD card, what are you, a pauper? And everyone going, oh, the Nvidia ones are better because they have really cool looking fans on it. And it's
the way it's meant to be.
I've always had Nvidia cards only because when I was running ATI or AMD cards, every time I thought, I'm going to try it, bloody driver issues.
Driver support
every single
was
time.
Shit
it was rubbish.
It was absolutely bollocks, and that's why I use Nvidia.
Oh,
but
right.
that's not an endorsement. But
now it's
I'm just saying that's why.
No, that is true. That is true. But these days, it's like naff off. And also, it's the tagline, the way it's meant to be played. That reminds me of the sort of people who say, oh, do you like Jimi Hendrix? Oh, well, you haven't really heard Jimi Hendrix unless you've heard him whilst driving in a VW van across America whilst smoking bongs with the Rolling Stones or something. It's just like, oh, screw you.
Or people who like the Beatles.
Yeah, it's just people who like say that certain things have to be experienced in a certain way.
People who like the Beatles or Beatles.
The Beatles.
The Beatles, that's a different band. They're really good. But Beatles fans are just mental.
I like the Beatles, but I don't think...
The ones I know, at least.
The Beatles are all right. They've got some... Revolver is a great album.
I said that, so the Beatles are all right, and they're like, no, the Beatles are the best.
Well, no, they're not the best.
Stop hanging out with Yoko Ono, then.
It's like people who describe the Red... I've met a couple of in my life who I said, what's your favourite band? And they've said, the Red Hot Chili Peppers. And I've not known how to continue. Like, not known how to continue that conversation, but also just not know how to continue any form of relationship with that person.
Sorry, 1 second.
What's wrong with the Red Hot Chili
There's nothing
Peppers?
wong with them, but if they are your favourite band,
maybe that person really likes to give it away now.
It's impossible. They're just so bland that it's just... It's like saying what's your favourite cheese, and
they're
someone
bland
saying
now.
Mild cheddar.
They're bland now, but back in the day.
Yeah, precisely. But no, they're still not like anyone's. They shouldn't be your favourite band. If they are your favourite band,
what if Pearl Jam was your favourite band?
Go back to work. Go back to bed. Just go to bed. Just don't go to bed forever. Anyway,
what if your favourite band's Metallica?
That's all right. Metallica have done some really good stuff. I mean, they're arseholes in real life, but some of the stuff is brilliant.
Most people are.
Nothing else matters.
Exactly.
Anyway, another one. We've got... let's have a quick look. Which video game, this is from Clockpunk, which video game would you like to see converted into a tabletop board form? Why? Whoa. And how would you go about it?
Ooh.
I'm going to put that one out there. Obviously, I do a lot of board game stuff, but
blimey.
Oh, well, I'm going to go out there and say XCOM, because I think XCOM would be
that's perfect.
an awesome like Space Hulk style grid game where you could have like different cardboard bits sections and you could build your own levels, and I think that would be awesome.
I was going to say Deus Ex, but that would pretty much be Cyberpunk, kind of, wouldn't it?
Yeah. That's more like RPG, like rather than board game.
Mine would be...
make it a board game. Just make a board.
And put the disc on it. There you go. A board on the game. Mine would be Rogue Warrior.
Oh, yeah.
Rogue Warrior. You could have... It'd be like Risk.
Yeah.
And every time... I don't know. It'd be like... Do you remember Atmosphere?
Yeah.
Right, so in fact, you'd have to play the game, or the game would roll behind you. Yeah. And on the map, the Risk-style map would be areas of the world inflamed or outraged by all of the horrible comments that he makes while killing people. So
can there be a tiebreaker? Does he do the rap?
Korea.
Can there be a tiebreaker where if it's a tie, you have to do a Mickey Rourke rap and the audience decides?
Exactly, and you have to solve the political and diplomatic problems that he's causing. Someone make that.
Oh, that would be ace.
Right, Kickstarter.
There are some brilliant... There's a board game I really want to play where it's like a political thing where it's about arms dealing and terrorism.
That sounds brilliant. I'm into that anyway.
You all start off as arms dealers apart from somebody being a terrorist. And then eventually...
He looked at me then. He gestured towards me.
Sorry, mate. You are wearing a hat, which is similar to what I'm going to describe. But basically, if something goes wrong with your arms dealing, basically, if you're deemed to be a threat to other people, then you get labelled now that you're a terrorist. And the box actually comes with balaclavas. So when you're a terrorist, you wear a balaclava.
I've seen pictures of this.
I really want to play
What's it called?
I can't remember, but I've been told about it and I really want to play it.
I'm going to buy that.
Football Manager, the board game.
Yeah. Mark Robinson asks, see here anything from the Ken Levine BAFTA Q&A? I heard that a friend of mine had a piss in the urinals next to him, which sounded quite exciting.
Huh?
That's
Really?
the only thing I've heard about it.
Why is it not on Vine?
I don't know.
This is the future now.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? The PR shitstorm? Yeah, so leaked footage of Ken Levine's dick.
Yeah.
It's going up next to our partial
leak footage. Leak footage.
There you go.
Yes. That's a pun.
Amazing.
A question for you specifically, Steve. Can you be Goro?
Is that from Ian Dransfield?
Yeah.
What? I wish you could, but unfortunately you cannot.
You cannot? Okay. Fine. That's it. Right. Another question. What hair products do you use to keep your locks flowing? I assume that's for me. I don't have any locks at the moment. When I do have locks, I'm a big fan of Aussie conditioners. I'm not paid by them. It's just very good. And finally, what is the meaning of life? The meaning of life is 42. But
that's the official answer.
That's the official answer, but I'd say the meaning of life is just try and have a really good time without pissing off those around you.
You're already dead. That's the meaning of life.
You're already dead.
Yeah.
This is the Sixth Sense 2.
Spoilers?
No, honestly, the end of your story is rubbish. It's a downer ending.
Is it?
Yes. I mean, you're gonna get iced.
It's a quick time event.
Oh, maybe if you're in a car accident or something, you have to open a door before. I'm just saying, like, it does not end well for you.
That's grim.
Or any of us, really.
Okay, so the meaning of life is enjoy it because you're already dead.
Don't be a dick.
And don't be a dick. I just think, have as much fun as you can, because if you're not having fun, then there's no point. And just try not to have fun at other people's expense, though. You know? Because everyone else is just trying to have fun.
And every day, do those, like that jump up and heel click thing, you know, that they do.
Do more stretching. That's
you can't see what I'm doing. Well, these guys can.
Wear sunscreen, apparently. Or sun cream, as we call it if we're not Americans. Anyway, that's the end of today's Video Gamer UK podcast. We forgot to do a flipping competition.
Next week
we will
think long and hard.
A competition. Actually, no, I'm going to do it now. I'm going to slip it in right now.
Right?
Competition is
slip it in.
You've got to invent a new, in light of the Heart of the Swarm thing, you've got to invent a new Zergling. And I want crap drawings in MS Paint. So
we're looking for drawings.
We're looking for drawings this time exclusively. But it has to be made in MS Paint. I don't want any photoshopping. I don't want any fancy stuff. I want either hand drawn with pencils and pens, or I want. Hello and welcome to the Video Gamer UK podcast. My name is Matt Lees and I'm joined by Matt Ellis.
Hello.
Steve Burns.
Hello.
And Tom Ori.
Hello.
How are you doing, chaps?
Not too bad.
All good. It's pretty chilly in the podcast room today.
It's very cold. Where's David? David's AWOL. I don't even know where he is.
Secret mission.
He's on the top secret mission to see stuff.
Secret stuff.
I miss Dave already.
So we missed Dave. We haven't got David as news cannon, but that means in today's episode we are going to try and do our best to answer more questions than usual, because we have been a bit terse with that in the past. So actually, if you're not doing already, then obviously you can sign up to the VideoGamer.com forums. We have some cool stuff going on there in terms of...
They're a bunch of nice guys and gals.
And also we have competitions once a month where you can win games and stuff. Have we got a new podcast competition actually this week?
Yeah.
Oh no.
God. I was thinking about it and then...
Okay, that's fine.
I didn't have a...
I've got something on the back of my head, so we'll talk about that at the end. That's fine. Oof. Nice. Saved by the bell. End. Right, let's kick it off. What have you been playing this week, Matt?
I finished off Tomb Raider over the weekend.
Oh, you lucky dog. I really want to play some more of that.
I really like it.
So far, it seems to be just a game about a woman having a really bad time.
She has an awful time in that game. Like, she gets beaten up so much.
It is like, oh,
like, people talk about, having sort of tough characters and role models. Like, she gets the shit kicked out of her, literally. Like, even when you jump off, like, a small sort of ledge, and she'll just, like, fall flat on her face. It's brutal. It's absolutely